Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We got, I don't know, I guess I'm calling this Project Gangrene, unless you can come up with a better idea for it. This is my 323 Ci that I picked up at a recent impound auction. Winning bid was 700 bucks, some auction fees and a key. I'm still under, well under $1,000. And you can see she's pretty interesting. It's only been in the garage now a couple days after we got the convertible, the black convertible, hauled away for scrap, and she's already becoming a storage shelf. And if you can see inside, the whole trunk and back seats are all full of stuff too. That's kind of what happens when you part out a couple cars. You end up with some stuff. So I'm trying to work through this stuff and get it organized, get some things sold, figure out what I want to keep, all that jazz. Anywho, back to our main event. So yes, this is our 323 Ci. That I bought for basically the body kit that was on it. And if you notice, I've already pulled the front bumper off. That's off the black convertible. I still need to pull side skirts, rear bumper off. Saved all that stuff from the black convertible as well. I've got doors from both the black convertible and the red convertible. They do fit a coupe. They are interchangeable. Now, Real OEM does show that the glass is different, but from what I can tell, they work interchangeably. I've put a coupe glass in a convertible, although technically I haven't done a convertible glass in a coupe, but everything else tells me it's all the same as far as I can tell. So anywho, the reason for that is, well, if you remember from the other videos, well, driver's side, it's not locked, it's busted. The handle itself breaks away from the door. That's more than likely what the issue is. I haven't really spent any time getting into it. So in the meantime, we've got the door card off, and I just, open the door with that and swing her out. The other side is on there pretty tight too. Shush. All right, so what are we doing with this thing? I really don't know. Like I said, I bought it for the body kit. The fact that this is a running and driving car, 5-speed manual, although it is lowly 323, a whole whopping 160 some horsepower from new. I don't know how many of those horses have left the barn since then, but yeah, what else do we do with it? The body itself is solid. It's just ugly. Interior, well, it used to be tan, and someone came in here and painted a bunch of stuff black. Driver's seat's pretty roached, at least the bottom cushion. They are the sports seats though, which is nice. Like I said, it's 5-speed manual. Glass is cracked in a couple different spots. Probably not be able to see it there. But she starts, she runs, drives. I think the AC works. I really haven't played around with it enough. And we did have a little mishap up front here. You see we're missing a kidney grill, some scratches on the bumper. I kind of had to use this as a battering ram to push the black convertible onto the trailer. My come along decided to die just before the last usage, and I don't have my winch mounted yet on the trailer, so we resorted to this. So some ideas. We drift build. I've never drifted before. I've watched several times. It's a skill that I'd like to learn. Unprofessionally drifted in the snow. I grew up in Western New York, where, I don't know if you've heard, but it snows there a couple times a year. So there's been plenty of opportunity that I've done some drifting in the snow. A little different on pavement. That's one idea. The other idea is just to get this thing running. Well, I mean, it is running, but just ready for sale. So the issues we currently are facing. One, if you remember, the CV shaft in the back, 2 bolts are stripped out or snapped off in the diff flange. I've got to fish those out, get 2 new bolts in there. It does move. I've got the other 4 bolts in there, but we really want to have all 6 if we're going to go out and go under power. That's a quick fix. The other issue is there's no brakes. It's like right on the floor, and I don't really know why. This thing did sit for a while. As far as I can tell, the previous owner had it for sale starting like a year ago. I actually found the ad on Marketplace. I tried reaching out to him just to get some backstory on what was going on with the car. but he's never responded. It doesn't even look like he's seen the message. So, you know, whatever. But I have found some people through selling parts that actually do know this car and have seen it in the Atlanta area. The guy was trying to sell it for quite some time. I think he had it listed for, I don't know, 2,000 bucks or something like that, or 1,800 bucks, something like that. And unfortunately, what it sounds like is just became, you know, in the eyes of the law, abandoned, and they sold it at auction. So that's how I ended up with it. So we got the CV shaft we got to fix. We've got no brakes. Even the seller posted that it was leaking some coolant. I mean, that's fairly typical of BMWs of this age. So the last video, we did kind of see where it's dripping from, but I got a pressure tester, a coolant pressure tester. I do want to try pressure testing the system, seeing what we can discover. You know, make sure that's the only leak, and then once it's fixed, we can verify that we have fixed it and it's ready to sell. I'm not doing a full coolant overhaul on this. Even if I was going to keep this for a drift build, this M52 B25 is not staying in the car. If I keep it, we will B30 swap it, MS43 swap it. Downside is it does have the Getrag or Get Rag, however you prefer, 5-speed, which they don't tend to like abuse. So we'll have to see, you know, about that if we go find another ZF to throw in it. That'll handle the drifting a little better than the Getrag, although I have some people that say they do fine with the Getrags. So the other issue, the other day when I had this outside running for a while, it began to run like garbage. It was misfiring. Sometimes with a misfire on these cars, if the DME sees enough misfires, it turns the injector off. That's to help prevent cylinder washdown and raw gas entering the catalytic converters, which will then ruin them. So sometimes you can restart the engine, get that cylinder back, but these are hard. It's a hard misfire. It's just not happy at all. So we do need to scan this. We didn't do it in the last video, so let me get you set up with that. We got you inside the car here. You can take a look at the dash. It's showing 231,000 miles. That is not correct, and you can tell that by the tamper dot that's next to the trip where all the zeros are. I looked in, I used input to kind of poke around, see what I could find out. The VIN number on this cluster is not matching to the car, which will trigger the tamper dot if it's not coded correctly to the car. Mileage generally stays with whatever was on the cluster, although don't quote me on that. I think that's how that works. I also scanned the LCM because that will store mileage. That does match the VIN of the car, so that's a plus. The downside is it reads 300,000 kilometers, which is the max the LCM will read. So it's got more than 300,000 kilometers, which is about 183,000, I think, if I'm doing the math right in my head, 186, something like that. And then I did also read the DME. Well, the DME does not store mileage. That has a third VIN. So this car has seen something. Carfax, I mean, it had 240,000 miles per Carfax a few years ago. Then it went down to 231. So there's mileage discrepancy on Carfax. Though for a car this cheap, I mean, most people aren't really going to care. The downside is we just don't know, you know, what the true mileage is. And, you know, judging by the interior and the custom work, I'm going to say this is easily 250, probably 275,000 plus. It's got some use. You also notice this has the cog of death light on the dash. That's because that came out of an automatic car and we have a manual. So whoever put this cluster in didn't code it correctly, has the wrong VIN, wrong mileage, hence the tamper dot. Of course, we got some jellyfish launchers, and I just was reminding myself the other issue is the red oil light stays on all the time. I have read that sometimes that will stay on with a cluster swap. That could be it. There's no noises. This thing runs really nice and smooth, so we will verify oil pressure. In my other videos, for basic diagnosis, this is just quick dives in. I like the ELM 327. You compare that with an app like Torque or OBD Fusion. It's great for quick scans, getting the easy P codes. You can also view some live data, see your MAF readings, oxygen sensors, you can data log. So it's a quick, handy tool. You can carry it with you. This is not BMW specific. It's just Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection. It's a nice, handy little scanner. They run, I don't know, $20-30 on Amazon. For deeper dives, I like, the go-to is INPA, and use that with a KD CAN cable from Amazon, and you hook that up to a cheap laptop. Download INPA. INPA is free, and that is BMW level software. But today we're going to check out something else. So this company, CG Sulet, they reached out to me a few months ago, asked me if I'd try out their product. I've been kind of delaying this, and I do apologize to you and them, but I want to test this out. I've tried it on several different vehicles. I just want to make sure that, if I'm going to support something, that it's worth, your time. I don't want to sell you on something that is not a good investment or a good buy. So basically, this just hooks up with a cable right to your OBD port. It comes in this nice little carry case, houses the unit, cable, and the manual over here. This is the SC530. This is BMW specific, but you can scan other vehicles with it. So you don't have to just have a BMW. You can also get it specific for, other brands like Toyota, Acura, Honda. On the main menu, you've got your OBD interface. That's just standard for pretty much any OBD2 vehicle that you can plug in and read. Like I said, this is a BMW specific tool, so we've got the BMW interface, and you just arrow over and then hit yes. So now you can see we can also choose BMW, Mini, or Rolls. This is kind of nice because it does give you kind of the sister brands from BMW that you can scan, and you just hit yes again. And it does have a smart VIN, or you can enter the VIN manually. I just use smart VIN. And this is where my only real complaint with this unit comes. It can be a little bit slow to boot up. It's not terrible, but it's a little slower than, saying, like the ELM 327. It decodes the VIN, tells you, yep, it's Model 3, it's a 3 Series, E46, 323 CI, the M52 engine, model year, the last of the VIN, and I just hit it yes again. Early E46s have a 20 pin under the hood, and then the 16 pin under the dash, which is what we're connected to. This vehicle only has the under dash. So now we're going to load up the vehicle data, and again, this is just kind of where it takes a little bit of time. It's not terrible, but it is a little slower. All right, here you can see it's we're reading all the data and booting up. From the main page, we can go into diagnosis, which is where we're headed. There's some service functions. I think you can reset like the service interval and stuff like that. There's some special functions where you can activate certain things, switches, windows, lights, that kind of thing. We're not going to really play around with that today, so we're just going to go into diagnosis. We're going to do a quick scan. You can go to individual modules, which is really nice. We'll just do the quick scan, and it'll list all the modules and tell you how many faults are in each. We got 4 in the ZKE. DME is what we're interested in. Got 5 faults in the DME. EWS, that's the security system, mobilizer. That is fine, and I know that to be true because the car starts just fine. And this does not have an EWS delete, as far as I can tell. Transmission control. Well, this is a manual, so there's no EGS. So that's good that there's no faults there. Stability control DSC. You got 2 faults in there. Steering angle sensor, that's a common problem. We got 2 faults in there as well. Heating, air conditioning, that's got a fault. That's sometimes some of these modules just have little hissy fits. Instrument cluster's got a couple faults. Restraint system, this does have an airbag light on, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's got one in there too. 6. And I'll give you a hint. The airbags are missing out of both, well, at least this door. So that's probably part of it. All right, so going back here, it does go back all the way up. So we've got 11 total modules. You can just cycle down. Let's take a look here. We are at the restraint system 6 faults. LCM, no faults. Center console panel, center control panel, it's got a couple faults. So, all right, so again, what we're really interested in, at least for today, is what's going on the DME. So you just select down, then hit yes, and down to read codes. All right, so we've got cylinder 5 and 6 issues. There's a cylinder 5 misfire, cylinder 6 fire, and that's about it. So most importantly, what we want to look at right here, we got cylinder 5 and 6 misfires. A lot of times these cars have vacuum leaks. That's the #1 cause for rough idle and misfires in these cars. You can also have bad mass airflow sensors. It's not as common, but it does happen. Bad fuel pump, low fuel pressure. But those will usually be accompanied by a P0171, P0174 code, bank 1, bank 2, 2 lean. We don't have any lean codes. We just have cylinder 5 and 6 misfires. What that kind of tells me is we don't have a vacuum leak, but we're still going to check because that's what we do. We're going to get out the ventus, we're going to smoke check it. Also, when I was using this as a battering ram, I broke the latch. You can see, if you remember, we've got this hot boy intake, very common for the rubber boots to break and split. The dis O-ring can leak. There's the CCV that can leak. The valve cover can be warped, cracked, and leaking. I don't think that's going to end up being an issue. There may be some vacuum leaks, but currently it's not showing any. So my other hint in my train of thought is, so way BMW numbers their cylinders starts at cylinder 1 through 6. So we got cylinder 5 and 6 that are both showing misfires. Could simply be just a bad coil. These are original coils. We'll check to make sure we got good connection. But what's kind of telling me might be the issue is, what don't we see here? And that's kind of important. We do not have the cabin air filter housing in place. And right above the cabin air filter is the grill through the hood. So without that there, rainwater will come in through the grill, right down on top of the valve cover. And look what's right there, cylinder 5 and 6. So my guess is water has gotten into those two, those plug wells. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take the coils out, check to see what's going on, see if we got that full of water, see if we've just got bad corroded connections there, or what's going on. I do have some spares. Basically, if everything looks fine, we can take those two plugs, move them up to like cylinder 1 and 2. We can take those two coil packs, we can move those to cylinders 3 and 4, all at the same time. So we've moved both the plugs and the coils, and then we're going to look to see, where did the misfire go, or did it move at all? If it moved to cylinder 1 and 2 where we put the plugs, then we know we got a plug issue. Put some new plugs in it, no big deal. If the misfire moves to where we moved the coils to, and we know we have a bad coil pack. And it's good to move the stuff rather than just replace, because if you just replace it, well, then you don't know. Maybe it was just a plug, maybe it was just a coil. If none of that moves, if the misfire doesn't move with any of that, the next step would be to look at the injectors, cylinder 5 and 6, to see if they're bad. We could move those, see if the misfire moves, while also checking wiring, making sure there's no rodent damage or nothing burned or anything like that. If we've moved the plugs, we've moved the coils, we've moved the fuel injectors, and verified all the wiring is fine, the only thing left is, unfortunately, the bad one, compression. You need fuel and spark to run. Well, that's 2/3 of it. You need compression too. You don't have compression, you could have all the fuel and spark in the world. It's not gonna fire. So that would be the very last thing. I don't think that's a problem. I think coupled with the fact that the cabin air filter housing is missing, this has been sitting outside for at least a month here. God only knows how long it was sitting outside at the previous owners and the yard. I'm betting there's water in there. But let me get the let me get my ventus set up. I do want to smoke this first just to rule out any possible vacuum leaks. Like I said, there's no codes in there, but it's just a good thing to check. Plus, I love the machine. So let me get you guys set up. So here we have the Ventus smoke machine from Autoline Pro. I absolutely love this machine. It is not sponsored. I bought this for my own money, and I just want to give a shout out to my friend Alec from Day Off DIY. He turned me onto this unit. It's an absolute gem. It smokes instantly, has a great intake adapter that you can get, a bunch of other adapters so you can smoke test various parts of the evap system, exhaust system. If you're here, you love BMW content, Alec has an awesome channel with tons and tons and tons of BMW content. It's really great stuff, real good DIY stuff. So please go check him out. But here I'm just gonna show you just how easy this is. So I've just plugged this unit in. This is the adapter that goes into the intake adapter. You just press the on button, lights up, you see it bubbling, and look, we're already smoking. We just plug that in to here, and then we wait. This also does come with a flashlight. I'm just gonna use my big light. I don't see anything immediately, so looks like our intake boots are in good shape. So that's a big common problem for these things. And ideally, you want to smoke this for a couple minutes. You want to be able to take that the oil fill cap off. I don't know if you're right there, the oil fill cap off. And there should be some smoke coming out of that. That tells you filled the entire crankcase and intake system. Because like I said, that valve cover could be cracked or warped, and that could be a source of your vacuum leak. I don't think we have a vacuum leak at this point. There's no link codes, but you never know what we might find. It might not have run long enough to trigger it. I didn't see it pending either, but you never know. And so far, yeah, I don't really see anything. I wasn't expecting to, but yeah, it looks like we're good. I'm just gonna let this run off camera real quick for you guys, so you don't have to sit through me watching make some smoke. It's also good to not only for diagnosis, but confirmation that you've assembled everything properly. If you've had that intake hose off, that can be kind of a pain in the butt to get back on the ICV and the throttle by. You want to make sure that you've put it on right. If you have the intake off, you want to make sure that the intake gaskets are sealing right, all that stuff. So it is a diagnostic tool, but it also confirms your repairs. All right, so it might be kind of hard to see, but we do have smoke coming out of the valve cover, and that's the only place. So that's exactly what we want to see. Looks like we have no vacuum leaks. Switch on this. Also see there's some red tape on this oxygen sensor. So someone's been in there before, had those disconnected for whatever reason. Looks like some newer cooling system components. I think I mentioned that in the last video. CCV looks really new. So someone has put some work into this. Like I said, it generally runs really well. Just didn't want to the other day. So let's go tackle those coils and plugs. So you guys are looking back here over at cylinders 5 and 6, just past this ugly strut bar. Hopefully my fat head doesn't get too much in the way. These just pop up, a little persuasion, lift up, and wiggle them out. And you can't see, but I'm just looking at the connectors. They don't look green at all, so that's a good sign. And cylinder 6, same thing. So next up, let's take these coil packs off. So these are just held in with two 10mm bolts. Cylinder 6 has a ground strap to the coil. From what I can tell on the first 3 cylinders, it looks like the 4th, these are the original coils from 2000. I got date codes on them from 2000. That's pretty darn good. All right, well, let's try cylinder 5 first. What'd I tell you? While it's not currently wet, there was definitely water in there. Look how corroded that is. That's disgusting. Throw that in the drug bin for later. Oh, God. and that one is physically wet. So that's definitely a problem. Water has gotten down in the spark plug tubes and misfiring. So let me take a look down there, see how much water's there. Cylinder 5 is bone dry, and so cylinder 5 is bone dry, and cylinder 6 is swimming. The spark plug is fully submerged on cylinder 6. So that's going to be a problem. I don't have any air set up. I think I'm going to grab the vacuum and I'll try to vacuum it out, because I don't want to pull that plug out and have that water go down into the engine. That would, it's only a little bit, it'd probably be fine, but I mean, I could turn it over once it goes in and it'll spray it out, but let's just not put water into a motor. In fact, actually, I'm just going to pull the rest of these coils out, just take a look at them, and you know, kind of see what they are. But yeah, she'll focus. The date code 727 of 2000. These are the original coils. I do have a few spare of these. Let me pull the rest of those coils out and see what the rest of them look like. It's probably just going to need a set of plugs and a couple coils. So here you can see from cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 and 6 are the worst, with 6 still being wet. Some moisture, some water got into cylinder 3, and some moisture into 2 and 3 as well. Cylinder 1 is perfectly fine. So this is, you know, just today's PSA of run your cabin air filter. Also having the beauty covers on helps a little bit too. Even with the cabin filter housing off, if you have the beauty covers on, it'll keep a lot of the water out. It won't probably keep all of it, but this didn't have beauty covers or the cabin air filter. So proof's in the pudding. That's definitely our issue. So I got all the water out. The little shot vac wouldn't suck it out, so I switched it from suck to blow. Basically, you just reverse the vacuum. It can blow as well. Put a glove on the end with some small diameter rubber hose and blew it out. And did a little vacuuming as well, just kind of cleaned it up a little, get some of the crap out of here. Let me pull those plugs out. So we got all the plugs out. They came out without a fuss. These ROE NGK plugs, which is good. They all kind of look like they're burning about the same, but as we get down to cylinders 4, 5, and 6, you can see they're pretty beat up. And in fact, cylinder 6, if she'll focus, is actually wet all the way down through the threads. So that is definitely our problem. Now the question is, do I have spark plugs to put back in this? Definitely it's gonna need a set of plugs. I don't mind you know, spending a couple bucks on plugs. I've got some spare coils that we can throw in there. Then this thing should be back running like a top. I looked at the other engine that I have. It's the B30. I don't know if you remember the green turbo car from about a year ago. That engine has plugs in it. They look just as bad as these ones. So I'm just gonna order a set of plugs, get them on the way. Like I said, this isn't a huge investment. I can put some plugs in it, some used coils, not a big deal. Really just trying to take memory of what else I thought this might need if I'm making an order. But really not much. If you remember the walk around video that we did, I mean, there's a little bit of an oil pan leak. We're not tackling that because I said if I keep it, that motor's coming out, we're gonna B30 swap it. If I sell it, it's just going as is. It's not leaving puddles on the ground or anything. It sat in my driveway for a month. There's not a single drop on the ground. It's just seeping. So we're not gonna tackle that. CCV looks good. The cooling system looks good, except for one of those lower hoses down there. I forget if it's the upper or the lower. I think it was the lower one. And then we got to figure out the brakes. So I'm gonna get some plugs coming. We'll finish that up, and that'll probably wrap this video up there. Well guys, I got the new spark plugs in. Just went with the stock NGKs. Got my spare set of bolt down coils in place. Just remember, make sure you get both grounds. There's one on either end. Next up, I do want to try to tackle that red oil light. At least make sure that we have oil pressure. So I just went down. It's kind of hard to see, but you see that shiny brass. There's a oil sensor there. I don't remember if that's the pressure or temperature sensor. There's one in that location and one on the back side of the oil filter housing. Here we have the sensor out. And I've got this oil pressure tester kit that I bought from Amazon. I mean, it's a nice set. It's got quite a few different fittings on there, so you can use them in many different applications. This was the number 7 fitting, which is a M12. I just got it run up here to our gauge, and I say we just get in and hopefully we can just see it. I got her up on the windshield here. I should be able to see it from inside the car. It looks like we left our scanner plugged in, so hopefully we don't have a dead battery. All right, we should start, and it should run really good since we got the new plugs and swapped the coils over. So let's see what we got for oil pressure. I know that's pretty terrible for you guys to see, but at least you can see that there is hopefully oil pressure. No, our battery's dead. Scheiße. Let me get some jump power here. All right, take number 62. Let's start this pig up and see what we got for oil pressure. Oh, there we go. I was nervous there for a second. We'll have to go outside the car here real quick. But you can hear she's running really good. I'm gonna shut her down. I still got the garage doors closed, and you know, carbon monoxide is just not my thing. Oh crap. So we're gonna have to see what, there we go. I think it was at about 50 degrees. I didn't realize it was gonna bleed off on this gauge. Yeah, it looks like about 50 pieces of oil. That should be more than enough for this thing to be safe. That means either this sensor or the other sensor is bad. I have a spare pair, so I'm just gonna swap those out real quick. Unfortunately, you really can't see them because it's, you know, down here behind, underneath the intake, behind the intake tube. It's kind of a bear. So I'm just gonna go ahead and swap those two out. We'll see if the light goes out. Like I said before, it could be an issue with the cluster. So let me just swap those two real quick. Well guys, you see we got everything back together. Got the beauty covers on, pod filters back on, strut bars back on. We got our washer tank installed that was missing when we got it. Cabin air filter housing's all in place. I don't have a filter for it, but anyhow, I think I'm gonna ramp this one up here. I think we made some decent progress. We fixed the misfire. I still gotta clear the codes, but the misfire's gone. We verified we do actually have oil pressure. So that's good. So that light's probably on because of the cluster swap. So we can kind of ignore that for now. We can address that sometime in the future. But stay tuned. I got more planned for this. You know, I've got tons of parts out of those two 330 Ci verts. So some of that stuff's going to go on here. And, you know, stay tuned so you can see what else we do with this. So you guys let me know what you guys think of this project. So I'm just kind of having a little bit of fun with it. And we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah, I'm gonna end this one here. We will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're getting really close to that magical 1,000 subscriber mark. That's basically where I can start making a little revenue from these projects. So I'm excited for that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one.